Hello and welcome to the news at 7 on Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM Abuja. My name is Oikeke Igado Kure. The headlines this hour. President Muhammadu Buhari returns to Abuja after attending counter-terrorism summit in Jordan. Federal government pledges to sustain Made in Nigeria patronage campaign. Nigerians express dissatisfaction as SANU NASU strike shuts down universities. On the foreign scene, clock ticks for Theresa May's Brexit plan. NFF President Amojo Pinnick tipped Super Eagles to reach semi-finals of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. Details in a moment. Please do stay with us. And now the news. President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to Abuja after participating in a two-day counter-terrorism retreat co-hosted by Jordan and Nigeria. While in Aqaba, President Buhari met with King Abdullah II of Jordan, where both leaders discussed bilateral issues concerning Nigeria and Jordan. President Buhari, during the meeting, stressed the need for inter-regional cooperation and information sharing towards tackling terrorism across the world. According to him, these factors are important in checkmating the threat of violent extremism to global peace and security. The president also used the opportunity to acknowledge the Jordanian king for his support and assistance to Nigeria, especially with the recent donation of armored vehicles and other military equipment to fight terrorism and insurgency in Nigeria. The federal government says it will intensify and sustain the campaign for the patronage of Made in Nigeria products in a drive to diversify the economy, create jobs and generate wealth. Minister of Information and Culture, Lai Mohammed, stated this in Lagos at the launch of the Southwest campaign for the patronage of Made in Nigeria products. He said the issue is very important to the current administration's drive to diversify the economy away from oil. In spite of the effort made by the federal government to douse tension over warning by some Western countries on impending terrorist attack, Nigerians said more still needs to be done to nip such incidents in the bud. They called on everyone to be security cautious and report suspicious movement to relevant authorities. The latest security alert issued by some Western countries were on possible suicide attack in Abuja, Kaduna and some northern states during the Yuletide.
Advisable that members of the public will take their own security very seriously. They should be security conscious. The first thing I always talk about, people to observe their environment. If you see any person or anything you feel is suspicious, you don't trust, you are not comfortable with, please rush and report it to the nearest police station. You should know who your next door neighbor is. Generally, whatever you do, always think of your security and safety first. You know, we have a lot of terrorists around. You never know. Most of the time they are indoors. There were nothing once in a while, just come out to go and buy supplies and they come back.
Nigerian government, African government, they should start thinking about social security. All those people doing all those, they are miscreants. Most of them are unemployed. Somebody who doesn't have source of income, he will be a tool. People can easily use him. Just imagine somebody in 2 weeks' time, I don't know where his means of livelihood will come. And you see somebody that will give him 10,000 naira. What do you expect from him? Who paid the piper, the takes the tune? All those politicians, none of their children are among those those miscreants. It is the child of downtrodden. They are the people perpetuating it.
Number one, a lot of the youths are outside looking for jobs. Number two, a lot of the youths are there outside without education. Because you have your work doing, no one in this world will use you, cause violence, or to do things that is mischief. At the same time, if you are educated, there are things that they will ask you to do, you will not do.
You have to be security conscious anywhere you are going, especially when you are in an environment and you see somebody that you don't know and suspect that the person is not pure. You have to avoid that environment.
Everyone has to be vigilant in the sense that you have to be your own police, you have to be your own security, both at home and outside. Always do coming to kill you. Any suspicious thing that you see, you try and call attention of the security agency.
The government we have is not responsive. In overseas, when you get this kind of alert, what the home government is supposed to do is to acknowledge it, that they have received such an information, and work on the ground. My advice to Nigeria is please know who your neighbor is. Even in the church, know who you are staying beside with. Even in the marketplace, know who is coming to buy. If you see anything suspicious, please report to the security agency.
Government too is not helping matter. The way they run this country, money have been embezzled. Money that's supposed to go to the rightful places is not going to the rightful places. That also caused this issue.
Virtually all universities across the country were shut down on Monday in compliance with the directive of the Joint Action Committee (JAC) to embark on strike to press home their demands. The union said the industrial action will not end anytime soon as compliance level hits 90%. The group had at the weekend directed the members in a letter to embark on an indefinite strike which commenced yesterday. And as three non-academic staff union of universities down tools, Nigerians have expressed dissatisfaction over what they described as incessant strike by the unions. Speaking with their correspondents in Abuja, some Nigerians maintained that industrial action should not always be the only option to get things done.
Strike is not the best option for them. I don't think they really push the government. Let them try and push the government, involve the parent with their needs, and let the government understand those their needs are critical and important for the institution to work well. The students being idle at home, they will be tempted to do some things that are no good, either to provoke the parent, and the government may decide to say no work, no pay, which is not good for the teachers too, because it has happened before when they go on strike.
Strike is always the last option. It is when they have exhausted all the channel of negotiation, but it depends on the negotiation they had with government. Maybe the government was not coming to terms with what they bargained, so based on that they have no option than to go to strike, because at the end of the day it is the students that suffers. When two elephants are fighting, it is grasses that suffers, and that's why most of the Nigerian politicians, all these looters, end up sending their wars abroad.
The government don't respect the agreement. Every minister comes in, enters into an agreement. Agreement is not the missile to the coming government. There's nothing these universities can do or the unions can do other than to strike. They are not striking so that you give them the money for them to eat. It's to better the educational sector, to put my children, your children, and their own children. Unfortunately, most of these government functionaries, their children are not schooling here. If their children are schooling here, they could have taken time. If I were to be in the corridors of power, I must make sure that every government official must have his children in the Nigerian university.
Idle mind is devil's workshop. When they are idle at home, they will be thinking all sorts of negative things they will do.
The polytechnics in Nigeria just called off their strike last week. I'm still a student. I couldn't defend my project because of the strike. And now they just called it off last Thursday. We lost a year and 3 months. The government should be responsive.
Strike is never the best option. It will not help them, it will not help the children in the school also. They should open for more consultations and dialogue. If there's need to involve other stakeholders, they should involve other stakeholders.
The trio of Nasum, Sa'anu and Nat announced the resumption of their suspended industrial action today, citing the failure of government to clarify issues bordering on the disbursement of funds released. With the setting of the dry season, issues bordering on indiscriminate bush burning have become a major source of concern to most Nigerians. With the Harmattan season around, concerns have been raised that the act could pose a threat to the environment, especially because of Nigeria's emergency response rate. Speaking with our correspondents, residents of Abuja called for caution in order to avoid fire disaster during the season.
Bush burning is not a good thing to do. You may decide to start burning maybe backyard of your house. The fire may start slowly, but you don't know where that fire will end to. It may result in going to some other villages. Before you know, the whole village is gone. Even the soil too. The burning of the trees or the grass is not doing well to the soil also, and this is the same soil we farm on.
Bush burning is not the best, but for every action there must be equal and opposite reaction. Some people are burning it, maybe some of them are hunters, then some of them are burning it out of ignorance. So when you are burning, effect is too negative. Just take for instance, some buildings are very close to a bush. When you burn the bush, the house might end up be in flame.
There should be awareness. There are things you don't do. If there is an awareness, most of the ills in the society would have been put a stop.
We should have a law that prevents the bush or vegetation, at least to cover out the vegetation, desert encroachment in our society. We need to stop bush burning entirely. We don't need them.
ECOWAS has urged member states to deploy institutional and international mechanisms to combat and prevent trafficking in persons in the West African region. The regional body made the call at the second ordinary session of the ECOWAS Parliament in Abuja. In a report presented to parliamentarians at the plenary session by the Directorate of Humanitarian and Social Affairs representative, special emphasis was placed on the issue of West African migrants in Libya. The Commission proposed reinforced support of the Niger government's initiatives in Agadez, a popular route connecting Niger and Libya for illegal African migrants to Europe. And from there, we'll take a short break, but don't go away, we'll be right back.
This is Human Rights Radio 101.1, redefining broadcasting.
Welcome back, and on the phone scene, British Prime Minister Theresa May now faces a tough task to make progress on Brexit talks. After a turbulent start to the week, Theresa May now faces a race against time to make progress in Brexit talks. The Prime Minister had hoped to get an agreement on the terms of Britain's EU withdrawal on Monday, but the Democratic Unionist Party would not allow proposals that would have moved Northern Ireland's customs border to the Irish Sea. May is expected to speak with DUP leader Alan Foster by phone on Tuesday in a desperate move to find favor with the party relied on by her minority government at Westminster. Former Yemeni President Ali Abdullah Saleh has been killed amid fighting between his supporters and their former allies, the Houthi rebel movement. Officials from Saleh's General People's Congress Party said he died in an attack south of the capital, Sana'a. Until recently, Saleh loyalists had been fighting alongside the Houthis in a war against the current president, Abdurrabbu Mansur Hadi. But a dispute over players are patriotic, youthful, and have the zeal to make the country proud. And that's the news this hour, but we'd like to remind you that President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to Abuja after attending counter-terrorism summit in Jordan. Federal government pledges to sustain Made in Nigeria patronage campaign. Nigerians expressed dissatisfaction as SANU NASU strike shuts down universities across the country. And on the foreign scene, clock ticks for Theresa May's Brexit plan. And in sports, NFF President Amaju Pinnick tipped Super Eagles to reach semi-finals of the 2018 FIFA World Cup. That's the news, but you can continue to follow us on our social media handle. Facebook is Human Rights Radio 101.1 FM. You can also tweet at us at HRights Radio. Thank you for listening. My name is Oikeke Igado Kure.
Your right, my right, our right. Everybody's right is protected. Human Rights Radio 101.1.
Human
Redefining
Rights Radio
Broadcasting.
Theatre presents The Dowry.
It's the bride price.
The Dowry.
No, it's the bride price.
The Dowry.
Okay. It's the dowry.
Madam, you are still here? You haven't gone? I thought I asked you to leave.